beetroot powder. Get you some. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and infinite glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash, giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham HaKodash. Shalom, Laha Alahayim, peace to the gods. Double honors unto the elder apostles, the elder bishops, and the heads and elders of all the camps of Great Millstone GMS who do rule well, who I've learned this 100% truth from, who are the true leaders of all Israel, Yasha Allah today. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the tabernacle of David, those predestined spirits of election scattered abroad. This is your brother Tazapani of the Great Millstone, Washington, D.C. camp, Adawan Ratazah. Lord willing, this quick hit digital epistle exhortation, admonition is edifying to the elect. I'm going to get straight into it. Don't want to make this too long. But just sitting here meditating on the scriptures and these other Israelite camps, these Yah Israelites, these Yisrael Israelites, these Torah Tanakh only Israelites, you know, these Jasher, Jubilee, Enoch type Israelites, these Negro only Israelites, these Northern Kingdom type only Israelites, you know, and pretty much all Jake that's even outside of that truth as well, out of the, you know, that who we are. And I just noticed that there is a very strong connection with not even the land, but more of the system, right, of America. America is not in the scriptures verbatim, but through the spirit, it can be discerned if you have the Holy Spirit, that mystery Babylon the Great, that great city, the virgin daughter of Babylon, is referring to the United States of America. And that system and the things that can seems to be achievable is a PTSD, a trauma bonding, a Stockholm syndrome, Willie Lynch letter type of relationship between the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American and their father, the devil. All right. Esau, Edom, the so-called self-proclaimed white man, Caucasian man, European man. Now, I wanted to get into this scripture that we usually always bring out, and I kind of worded it a little bit differently in the topic because I said the majority of Israelites haven't arisen and departed from Babylon spiritually / mentally. Okay? Because the Bible commands us. Because when you even go into that word precept, all right, you're going to see the word command. All right? So if we were to go to the book of Micah, right, chapter 2 and verse 10, it says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest." And shalom to the Akim wa Akwath, but just to put that out there for edification's sake, I am not an elder, okay? I'm a young brother in this truth, okay? But this is Micah chapter 2 and then, that's according to the comment board, all right? Micah chapter 2 and verse 10. "Arise ye and depart," right? right? So we're supposed to arise. Remember that that the day star arises in our heart, which is Yahweh Shai, the this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, that it is supposed to illuminate our minds, all right, that it completely um pushes away the darkness, which is metaphorical for confusion. Because remember, Yahweh Shah was sent unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. If you're lost, you're confused. You don't know where to go. So when it says to arise, it's saying to come up, stand up upon your feet. Okay. The Most High said that to Job. King David said that to his son Solomon. To stand up on your feet, gird your loins, and speak unto me as a man. In Ezekiel, it said that when the breath entered into those men, they stood up, being a great exceeding army. All right. And who was the one that fought in ancient Israelite history? It was men. This is why we're supposed to endure hardness like a good soldier in Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. All right. Pursuant to in Timothy, man. Okay. Because we are in spiritual warfare. We're fighting against principalities. All right. In high places, roughly paraphrasing. So we're supposed to arise spiritually because this place wants to oppress you, depress you into a low vibration. And that low vibration is iniquity, wickedness, compounded sin upon sin, transgression of the law, a lack of faith. You see? And they do that by equating those things with temporary pleasures and lack of vision and likes of the such. So there's a reason why, right? Because when you go into the context, going into Micah 1 and 2, right, it's saying it was concerning Samaria and Jerusalem, right? And basically saying, prophesying against them, if you don't change your ways, right? The Assyrians and eventually the Babylonians is gonna plunder you, man. Because they was worshiping all of these false gods. They was committing, fornication, spiritual adultery, disobeying the commandments that was given unto their forefathers that they promised through a blood oath to keep. As going back all the way up into the line, Moses sprinkled the blood upon the tablets of stone upon the people, and asked them, are you going to keep this law? And they said yes. So we entered into a covenant. That's why it says in Psalms, those that made a covenant with me by sacrifice. So when the scriptures say to arise and depart, it's not talking about physically depart from a certain place. It's talking about to depart, all right, from the worldly actions and things that you are used to when you was in that Gentile state of mind. As it says in the New Testament, as you were once Gentiles, being joined unto idols, roughly paraphrasing. You see? And that's what the system of America brings. This is why we go into Revelation and talking about the beast, which is, the ancient Roman Empire now revived into what we know now as NATO and the EU. And that image of the beast, that political, military, financial, the system that is a carbon copy of the old Roman world. That is now what we see now. It's the same thing all over again. And worshiping it by bowing down to it, by cooperating with these type of things that they make you do that is completely against the customs and the commandments of your forefather that was given unto your forefathers. So it says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with a sword destruction. Right? Because if you don't arise, or if you don't depart spiritually or mentally, you're going to be left for destruction. Because even though hand join in hand, they the wicked shall not surely go unpunished, roughly paraphrasing. So if you want to join into this system with a covenant, a handshake, hand in hand, do we have a deal? Yes, we have a deal. We're not making no deals with the devil. you know because ultimately the actions that you're doing is a gradualism into you taking the MOTB, because that's what it comes down to, the RFID chip. So to land back, to circle back around, majority of Israelites, they have that outward appearance as if they seem to be pleasing the Lord. But see, the water, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, that, he is not a man that looks upon the outward appearance, but he looks upon the inward man, right? Because if it were to the outward appearance, yeah, these camps got it, you know, making sure the garments look like this, the facial whatever, just you know what I mean. But yet, inside of them is dead man's bones, man. So we want to please the Lord, and in Baruch 4:4 it says, "Happy are we, O Israel, for the things that was pleasing unto the Most High was given unto us." And we know specifically of the stock of great millstone that true faith in Yahweh Shai, you know, is the only way to please him, man. And by doing that, we forsake all. And a lot of these Israelites still are attached and have not fully forsaken all. Now, that there's a reason for that, because you have levels to this thing, man. Certain men has been given certain levels of faith, the talents, so to speak, right? But it says in, I think it's Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 and verse 9, those that um trust in the Lord shall understand the truth. So how much do you trust in the Lord? So that, I mean, there are men that have more trust in the Lord than these wacky tacky Christians and anybody else out there, because they know that they're Israelite. They might even do videos on the internet. They might even go outside and teach, but they don't have the 100% truth. So they really don't have 100% trust in the Lord. You see, let's go and get that real quick, since I'm quoting it. That's a good one. This is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 and verse 9. It says, "They that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him." And remember, faith is a gift. So this is not up to you. The Lord put certain faith in men in love, and love is said, what? You love me, keep my commandments. So there's going to be a level of commandments and an understanding of the commandments. Because remember, we cannot keep the full law first in these bodies that is subject unto the transgression of the law of sin, and then two, under Esau Edom in his captivity. You see? So what is going to please him? This is why he came down in a chariot, in a cloud, and said unto Peter, right? If I'm not mistaken, James and John as well. But this is when, when the transfigurations, and they was like, oh, let us build, three altars for all three. And then that's when the Lord interrupted. It was like, yo, this is my beloved son. Hear ye him. So and remember, Yahweh Shah himself said in Revelation chapter 13, if I'm not mistaken, he said it's in the red letter, 13 and 9, if any man have an ear, let him hear. So even though the Father commanded us to hear Yahweh Shai, you can only hear Yahweh Shai if you have that ear to do so, that spiritual hearing, which is a higher level of understanding when it comes to reading the scriptures. And who is in the scriptures? Yahweh Shai, because written therein he is written in the volume of the book. You see? So it says, for grace and mercy is to his saints, and he hath cared for his elect. Right? Because that's what we're looking for. So, going into that understanding of like, yo, these Israelites in these other camps can't, for some reason, see the MOTB as what it is, which is the RFID CHIP, even though all of these signs, the vision is speaking, Habakkuk 2 and 3 is happening as we speak, Jacob's trouble, so on and so forth. Have they fully forsaken Babylon, right? Now, let me get this in First Corinthians. Because if you haven't even put yourself in a mindset that all this shit, the material shit and all of that shit is going to be gone, this is why that parable was given unto us. The things written aforetime was written for his learning. That young rich man was keeping the law since he was born. And Yahweh Shah said that's a good thing. So we're supposed to keep the law. But he was trying to have him arise mentally and spiritually for him to understand who he is, and said, yo, sell everything thou hast and follow me. And he had many possessions. So this is not the time to increase our possessions because they're going to be taken away. This is the time to get rid of possessions so that you have less distraction. Remember, a woman is a possession pursuant to Ecclesiasticus. He that beginneth, that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, right? And that's just one example. What else? Um, money, cars, businesses, houses, children, so on and so forth, man. This is why I said if you've forsaken all these things, you're gonna receive it 100-fold. And that's why I brought out that Wisdom of Solomon 3 and 9. Because if you fully had trust in him, that means that even if you have nothing, you believe that he's going to take care of you. And I truly feel a lot of Israelites might even bring it out. Bring it out. But don't believe that wholeheartedly. They're not fully persuaded in their mind. When this shit goes down, and this shit is about to happen in months through the spirit, Lord willing, of course. But when you are brought to a lower state, are these men going to take it cheerfully? This is First Corinthians 7, and I'm going to end it off here. I didn't want to make, like I said, I didn't want to make this too long. But this is First Corinthians 7 and 29. It says, but I say, brethren. So I'm talking to you men here, man. The time is short. Remember, Peter said that, for I have no saying for you to understand the times, for you shall well know what times we in. So you should know that we in a short amount of time. And so trying to solidify or foundate something in this, it just is opposite, is futile. Is, it says, it remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possessed not. You see? So you might have some possessions, but you're supposed to be in the sense like, yo, this not even mine. And this is why I brought out the term with the woman. You feel me? Because it's like, especially if she's not a virgin, which these women ain't virgins. You feel me? But like, yo, they say in the world, she's not yours. It's just your turn. You know what I mean? So you might have this card now. You're going to take this card with you in the kingdom. We're not even going to take these bodies. You're not going to even take this mindset. So certain Israelite, they put in a lot of effort and time rather than making the principal thing Sophia, wisdom, which is what is in the scriptures. But their principal thing is doing what the world's doing, but trying to sprinkle a little Israelite on top, you know, gaining possessions and shit like that, money and because you're trying to take care of this and take care of that. And you're not callous. You haven't endured hardness. That's this why you think they put soldiers through boot camp. Why do you think one that has had 2 or 3 tours is looked at with a more veteran and experienced characteristic from somebody, man, or a higher rank? Because they done been through shit. So we already putting ourselves through it now. you know Continuing on, it says, verse 31, and they that use this world as not abusing it. And see, you have to have the spirit of discernment on what it means to abuse this world or to use this world, man. You know? See, we use the world as what it's worth. We use money for what it's worth. Money is a defense. So there's no problem of getting money, but we don't love money, right? Because the love of money is the root of all evil, right? And in Proverbs 30, it says that, give me not riches that I forget thy name, but give me not poverty that I go stealing for bread, basically. So we just want our daily bread. you know Jake in that mindset of trying to get that double manna before the rest come, before Shabbath come. When instead of just listening to the commandments of the Lord, get enough of what is sufficient for thee, man. you know so Jake just has, and yeah, it's not, I understand it, but it's not the right spirit to be in. The abundance that we should be looking for, it should be rich in faith, in the knowledge of the scriptures, because they can't take away that. You know what I'm saying? That's a treasure where nobody can steal, you know, can't rust or rot. You can hold fast into that, because that's an incorruptible crown, because everything else is corruptible, you know? And this is why there's a difference between the levels in the kingdom and who's going to have that rulership mentality, right? And who's going to who has that kingdom mindset. Because where your heart is, your treasure is also. And that verse in itself, remember, heart in the Hebrew, even though that verse was written in the New Testament in the Greek, is lab, so it's your mind. So what is your mind constantly thinking about? And I'm talking to myself as well through self-examination. But where's your mind at? That is where your treasure, your value, the things that you that you hold on to dearly. And to me, it's Yahweh Shah the kingdom. And I feel that's the same way that that great millstone thinks. We are in the state of fuck all of this shit, man. You know? We're hasting the day, you know? Or other, people just going through it, whatever. Nah, man. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Lord willing, I was edifying to the elect. It's just something that I peep. You know what I mean? They haven't arisen and departed mentally or spiritually. They still in the Babylonian mindset. They in the spirit of Lot's wife, man. You know what I'm saying? Wanting to turn back. And because they haven't forsook it fully. They still attached, spiritually tethered, you know? So when shit really go down, they gonna fold. And the Lord has raised up 7,000 men to not bend the knee to Baal, man. You know? So with that, I'm gonna say Call Halal, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Hawadash. On to the next one. Shalom.